We are less than 2 weeks away from not only the August showcase coming from Bungie, but also season 22. And although community morale is pretty low, and that's putting it pretty lightly, there are still a number of quality of life changes coming to the Destiny 2 universe, including Bungie's new LFG system. While we don't have the system in hand to critique and analyze, let's talk about a few key ways to avoid getting into bad situations when you join up in an LFG. Whether it be new lights, people in my own community, or just people who are interested in the game, one of the first things that I always tell people to look out for is to look out for LFG posts that have or kick in the title. If you see a post like this, you should immediately run away. No matter how desperate you actually are to get a completion done of whether it's a new dungeon or whether it's a raid and you've never raided it before, there are always other outlets and other ways to get an LFG done versus going with the post that has or kick in the title. When someone intentionally uses the frame or kick, whether they're joking or not, some part of them thinks that you're disposable and thinks that you're actually not a valued member of this community. Whether it's saying 50 clears or kick, or know what to do or kick, all of these examples ultimately lead to what's more than likely going to be a bad experience for you. Everyone deserves to have a healthy and enjoyable experience during their time in Destiny 2, and if you don't have a group and you're looking at an LFG, one of the first groups that you should always avoid is any post, and I mean any post that has or kick in it. The next group of folks to avoid in LFG scenarios are folks that use slurs openly. In almost 8 years of playing this game, I've seen almost every slur that you can think of. Moderation in Destiny 2 has notoriously been not only a touchy issue because a lot of people engage in toxic positivity and just choose to overlook the dark sides of the community, but also because the current security tools that Destiny 2 has to offer via Bungie are not quite strong enough to rule out all the different cases of people using slurs. Now, this just may be an obvious tip for some people, but I can't tell you how many different times I've ran into people who have wanted to just get an activity done and they don't have friends to play with at the time that they're available, so they end up defaulting to some of these groups thinking that they can just, ignore some of it and get through the activity, but more often than not end up leaving the group because of how bad things end up getting. If someone is already willing to say a slur in the title of their LFG post, just know that is a huge red flag and somewhere you should definitely stay away from. And on top of that, definitely make sure to report that post so Bungie knows to flag that type of content in the future. Another group of folks to avoid is anyone who is going to be anti-new light. New lights are people who are new to the community, new to the game, and are still learning the different mechanics, how to put together a really strong build, and generally how to complete activities. Now, to be clear, because I can already see some people getting fired up in the comments, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get through an activity, especially in-game activities such as Grandmaster Nightfall, with people who are experienced. There's nothing wrong with that, but explicitly being anti-new light or just anti-new player in your post is just unacceptable. There are other ways that you can communicate that you would want somebody with a little bit more experience to join your LFG in a way that you can do it in a kind and caring manner. And the last one that we'll cover today is any LFG post that has a mic requirement. Now again, this is going to be a spicy one because some folks are like, well, no, there's legitimate reasons why anyone should have a mic if they're doing a raid or whatever the case is. Sure, cool, whatever, if you say so. Also, I'm someone who has done a majority of in-game activities at some point in time with no mics. Yes, this includes raids. Yes, this includes GM Nightfalls. Yes, this includes Trials of Osiris. A lot of different activities in-game can be done with no mic. Not only because you have the text channel to communicate, but also, and as we covered in a previous video, there are a lot of different reasons why someone wouldn't want to be on mic, whether it's just because of the quality of their mic and it would actually be more of a hindrance than helpful, or it's just the fact that people sometimes have a lot of social anxiety, and as we've talked about earlier in this video, there are a lot of bad actors out there who are putting up LFG posts that may not actually be in the best interest of community members. So for me, and again, this is just one of my personal tips and tricks, I prefer not to lean in to have mic scenarios, even if I do have a working mic. There are literally hundreds of thousands of Guardians, and especially during peak moments of the game where there are a lot of players playing, there are more than enough LFGs to go around that will allow people who don't want to be on mic to actually not have to be on mic and still get the activity done. Not to mention that we have an impeccable amount of really dope Sherpas in the community who are more than willing to help new lights, returning players, or people who just may not know how to do a particular activity, help them through those activities and get them to a completion. While this doesn't cover the complete list of everything that you should look out for in terms of LFG posts, the core thing is if you feel at any point in time reading the LFG posts uncomfortable, either by a Guardian's clan name tag, the actual requirements in the post, or just anything that just feels off, trust your gut and just choose another LFG to get into. There are so many different Guardians a part of this community who actually mean well and can get you through it in a good time. Just stop supporting people who are bad actors in the community. Report the post if people are being truly offensive, and then ultimately look for a lot of the good resources that are already out there in terms of LFGs that folks can get into. Let me know in the comments if you saw any types of LFG posts that I might have missed that you thought are really important for other community members to be aware of. Now, as we said before, we don't have the new LFG system in hand just yet, so we will do a follow-up video. In the meantime, like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for that update, but just remember to not be discouraged. There are some bad actors in the community, but that does not mean that they are the whole community. There are plenty of Guardians out there that want to help you have a good time, learn the mechanics of the game, and ultimately help you find your people and your community. As always, looking forward to seeing y'all Starside. Peace.